when you want to create content, specifically reels, you want to be clear on two things. You want to be clear on your topic, of course, but you also want to be clear on what we call the HSL method. The HSL method. HSL stands for hook, story, and lesson. Hook, story, and lesson. Our goal is to create our videos with the HSL method and topic. So Coach T, what does that look like? For me, practically, this looks like I have a note, a notes document, essentially, like I put it either in my notes or I'm using OneNote. So I'm using Microsoft OneNote. That's where I take a lot of my notes. But I have a particular tab, or for you, it could be a particular note in Evernote, in Notes, and I don't care where you put it, but have something digital or physical that you can list ongoing topics as you come across things. So anytime I'm hearing somebody talk about a problem, I'm writing it on my list. Anytime I'm hearing something that somebody wants to know, or something somebody's confused about, or a question that keeps coming up from my audience, I'm writing these down on my list. Maybe you're in some Facebook groups and you see the people on your target audience asking some of the same questions. Write those questions down. That is how you're always going to have a pulse of what your people are looking for. What are people interested in? So if they're asking for it and they're looking for it and they're spending money, because if people are asking questions about a certain thing a lot, they're probably spending money to solve that problem. So why not be the person that can provide them with the solution, especially if you could help them with that solution, right? So my mind is always open, searching for different topics. Where could I go to find topics? Not even where can I go, but I'm always having a list. If you want to get a bunch of data at once, you can also interview people that are your audience. So that might also be helpful. Or you could just do research and you could look at forums. You could look at like what topics are people writing on YouTube. So like, type in a certain topic on YouTube and see what other creators are creating videos on that. If other people are creating videos on it, that might be an important topic that your people want to know. So these are some ideas that come up with the actual topic. In terms of the HSL method, you want to come up with a hook, a story, and a lesson. So your hook is what's going to capture attention. You might start off with a question, so let's say if you work with, so for example, I have a client and she helps truck drivers, right, start a trucking business. And some of her drivers or some of the people who are truckers, they're still driving a truck, but they don't necessarily own their own trucking company or business. They're drivers for other companies. So, but she's trying to teach them how to start their own trucking business, right? So one of the things that she could say in a video is, are you tired of driving a truck for somebody else's company for 12 hours a day? If you are, then I can actually help you. I'm gonna show you in this video how to actually start your own trucking company. That could be an easy hook. I like to start with questions, but it could be anything that's engaging. Then you want to jump into a story. I remember when I was driving trucks and I was just getting tired of just kind of being on the road, and then I really couldn't control my schedule because I worked with somebody else, and now she can go into a short story about why this topic is even important. And the goal is to resonate. Whatever the name of your video is, the goal is to resonate with your audience, right? So that's what you want to be able to do. And then you want to jump into the lesson. That's the favorite thing we all want to do, right? Is jump into the lesson. And then that is, what do you want them to take away from this video? What do you want them to take away from this lesson? Reels at this point, at the time, they might call it something different. And at the end of the day, this is just for, this could be for any social media platform, but this framework is going to be relevant forever. I don't care what they call it. They might call it reels or clips or video. I don't care what they call it moving forward. Follow this framework because it's going to be relevant to the end of time, because this is human psychology. This is not like technical. Does that make sense? This is not like a technical training. So you could use this format for any videos that you create. So that's the first thing, is your topics, which I like to basically do research and kind of keep my eyes and ears open. If any of my clients if you was to talk to any of my clients and you would ask them like, how does Terrell come up with topics? You would see, because on some of my coaching calls, I could be giving advice, and then I'll say something, and I'll say, ooh, let me write that down. And I'll be in the middle of a coaching call, like, hold on, wait, I just got a good idea for a video. Let me write that down. So it could come from your own brain. It could come from a conversation. I mean, it could come from anything, but the goal is to have somewhere that you're going to capture it, so you always have a topic to talk about. And then again, we talked about the HSL method, which is the hook, the story, and the lesson. And that is the framework for how you're actually going to conduct a video. The second thing that we're going to focus on when it comes to Reels Made Easy is you want to focus on, this is how you create it, right? This is how you can create a reel. You want to focus on repurposing, right? Repurposing can mean that, really means that you created something one time, but then you took that video or you took that training and you used it for another purpose. So if you want to create some cool, reels, for example, you could do like, why don't you take something else that you've already currently created and then turn that into a reel. So for example, I do weekly trainings. So I might take some clips from one of my weekly coaching calls that I do, and then I can clip a minute of that. And by the way, these reels as of right now are typically about 90 seconds. That could change in the future, but at the end of the day, this is really, I could replace reels with short form videos made easy. Like reels are just short form videos. That's really what this training is about. So I might take a long form video and I'll clip it. So you want to create a bunch of content, why don't you just take a 30-minute or whatever, however long, if you do YouTube videos, take one of your YouTube videos. And then why don't you can clip that into multiple smaller 60-second, 90-second, 30-second clips, and then guess what? You just repurpose that. So now, if I took a couple of videos, longer videos that I've done in any capacity, and I can take that and then I can clip them up. It could be maybe you did a speech, take that, clip it up and repurpose it. Maybe you went live, take that, clip it up and repurpose it. Maybe you were on a coaching call. Now, if you're on a one-on-one coaching call, you just want to be mindful that if you do clip that up and it's something that somebody else said, you might want to get permission, unless it's not something that's revealing any kind of personal information. But I'm usually taking my parts when I do coaching. So even if I I record all of my coaching calls. So whether it's one-on-one, whether it's group, whatever. But when I record it, I'm usually taking the parts where I'm speaking, and then I'll take that and I'll clip it and repurpose it. Depending on what kind of video or training you've done, you might be able to do you might be able to take also the screenshots, and you can use that as a reel too. So like, let's say if I did a tutorial training, like I did a training the other day showing people how to set up their payment processors so they can be able to take money, right? So, all right, I did this in a private training. Well, I can actually take, let's say that whole segment was, I talked about it for 15 minutes. Well, obviously that's longer than a short form video, right, or reel. So then what I could do is I could just take screenshots of the different screens that I went through. So let's say in that 10 to 15 minutes, I covered 5 different screens and I explained it. What I can actually do is I can take clips from that and I can actually explain it, right? I could use the content that's already there, or I can use or I can just basically just take the screenshots of that, and then I can just basically use the HSL method to explain it, right? And then every lesson or tutorial would just be what I'm showing on the screen. So there's some different ways you can use it. Just understand, if you created video in any capacity, you could repurpose it. You could take the audio from that, and then you can use that and overlay that over something else, maybe a viral video. Maybe I'll repurpose audio, and then I've clipped certain other little clips or other videos or other B-roll from other videos or events that I've done, and then I've taken that audio and then I've overlaid it. That could work pretty well. If there's any visual that you want to see and maybe you want to overlay it with your own audio, that could work as well. I also told you about clipping those up into mini clips. That could work as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can use it, but if you already have videos in your phone or somewhere, and especially if it's long form, take it, clip it up, and then use that as content. All right? Does that make sense? Go ahead and put OMG if you're loving it so far. Go ahead and throw in an OMG. All right. Now, number 3 is, what's the third way we could leverage these reels? Third way is, I want you to share and remix. Share and remix. Coach T, what do you mean by sharing remix? So sharing remix could look like you focused on you're focused on sharing content. So your ability to share content is also a way to produce content, right? So you can actually share reels. So let's say if you're on Facebook at the time right now, they don't really allow you to remix on Facebook. Oh, maybe they do. I think maybe reels do allow you to remix, but most of the time people are sharing. So you can just take it, you can share it, and then you can put like your little caption or description above the video. So with that, that's literally a share. Or you can remix it if it's on Instagram, Facebook, I don't care where it's at. If you could take somebody else's content, maybe you'll do another headline or another caption, or maybe it's a funny video and you just want to write something over it because it's a reel, whatever, because it's a meme. Regardless of what it is, you don't have to create your content from scratch. You can actually look at other good content. Maybe it's niche specific, so maybe it is talking to your audience, or maybe it's something that's just general and more funny, but you can add a little twist to it in order to get people, in order to make it relevant to your audience, then boom, you off to the races, right? So that's what our goal is to be able to take content that's already out there for this one and then remix it, use it a little bit differently, change it up a little bit, just so you can have additional content to post. I'm showing you how to come up with different reels and different types of content, short form videos to post that you can do. All right, so share and remix is another thing that we could do. All right, and then the last recommendation for today is I want you to explore the features. Explore the features. A lot of times there's features on these platforms that you don't even know about. There's features on these platforms that will allow you to give more reach. So typically how Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or whatever other new app that comes out, the goal, what they typically do is they want to encourage people to use the new features, right? So the more that you use the new features on these platforms, the more they're actually going to give you reach. Essentially, you're on their platform. We are all on their platform, so we got to play by their rules. Part of their rules is we need you to use the features in order to get more reach. More reach is just more people who follow you and don't follow you see your posts. So if you could get 2 times, 3 times the reach, I don't know exactly what it is specifically, but let's just say twice as many people will see it if you use some of the new features they have. Wouldn't it make sense to try to incorporate that new feature in any kind of way? Whether it's a new way they're able to play music, or you're able to share content, or it's filters, or it's anything. It could be little icons, or they're always going to come up with unlimited types of features that you can use. But explore it. I would recommend you take some time to see what they need, right? Like to see what's possible, and not see what they need, but see what's possible on the platform so you can post it. Does that make sense? So that is really what we want to be focused on. So if you're just saying, yo, Coach T, I'm just trying to get consistent with it, this is literally what I would say. I'll give you a bonus that's not on here, is batch your content. Batching is you take a certain day and time, let's say 90 minutes, once a week, and then you can set all of this up. And you could do it 1 time a week. You spend 1 hour a week or 90 minutes 1 time per week, collect all, create all of your video content, and you're good for the week. If you could do a video a day, you're good. You're good from a publishing perspective. If somebody comes across you and they say they potentially want to work with you, or they need your help, and they look you up, or you messaging them and you connect with them and they look you up, if they see that you're posting every day, you're going to get massive credibility. If they discover that the last time you posted was 2 weeks ago, they're going to say, how serious is this person about their business? And now you're raising more objections and questions in their mind that don't need to be raised, because all it took was you being a little bit more prepared and then posting these different types of content. So preparation is going to go a long way for you this year. I want you to focus on being more prepared, focused on spending the time necessary to get this out, because you'll actually save more time if you put 90 minutes aside once a week to do all of this. You'll save more time than, you know, stressing yourself out, trying to come up with content every day, trying to come up with, you know, what you can do in the moment. You know, you got to keep taking out your camera. You got to keep putting equipment together. You got to, like, it's a lot of things that you got to do if you have to try to do it every day, which some people it works for. If you're like, yo, I'm the type of person that I can create new content every day, then that's great. If you're the type of person that's like, it kind of takes me a long time to think of ideas and what I should do and this, that, which is not going to be like that anymore because now you have a framework, right? But if that was the case, then that's great. If you're the type of person that's like, so it kind of takes me a long time. There you go. Let me kind of shut that off. So if that was the case, then, you know, obviously you have a framework that you can follow, which is what the purpose of today is. All right. So let's go through it. Number one, topic in the HSL method. Come up with your list of topics and then come up with your hook, your story, and your lesson. By the way, do not overthink this, please. Do not overthink it. Just come up with something to say for the first few seconds. Come up with a super short story or analogy, and then come up with a lesson. I mean, if you could do those three, then you're good to go, just from a fresh creation perspective in terms of providing values and making reels. Repurposing, we talked about that, so making sure you can clip those segments up. And by the way, a lot of this is for training. I know that there's funny videos you can make and a bunch of other different types of reels. Feel free to do all of that. I'm sharing it specifically for my trainers, specifically for my coaches that want to provide value. These are some of the easiest ways that we do it, and I teach our clients to do it. So you can clip that up, you can share and you can remix. You see other content in the marketplace. Share people's content, even if they are the same kind of coach as you or speaker as you. Share their content anyway, right? I mean, you never know. You might create a connection with them to where you might be the next speaker at their event. You never know. And then explore the features. The more you use the features, the more they're going to be willing to push out the message. Helpful? All right, love it, love it. Put major value below if you've been getting a lot of value from today. So before we jump into questions, let me go ahead and provide you with a resource that could be helpful to you. So I know there's a lot of folks that's been following me and rocking with me that's like, yo, I want to be able to take this to a next level. I know a lot of us have like our New Year's resolutions and like we're ready to make this year amazing. You can absolutely do that. You just want to make sure that one, you have a strategy. For anything to change for you, you got to have a specific strategy on what you're going to do. Other than that, you're going to be going in a bunch of different directions, but it's not going to be taking you in the ultimate direction that you want to go. This, you can do. I don't care where you started from. I don't care how old you are, how young you are, how much time you have in your hands, money, none of that matters. The thing that matters is your ability to take action on this information. You don't need to go through this and you got to research everything on here, or you got to look up 10 videos to learn more about this stuff. You have enough in this training to go out and execute. The biggest challenge that many of us face is that we keep thinking we need more information, more information. You don't need more information. You need more action. That's what you need. You need to take more action, not more information, because think about what this is doing, right? All this is doing is making you more confident to go out to do the things that you know you need to do. But one of the best teachers that you're ever going to have in your life is your own experience. That's going to be the best teacher, right? You're never going to feel 100% confident in anything until after you go do it. Once you do it and once you know how this works and once you get a flow and you get a rhythm, once you start seeing the feedback and you start seeing the comments and you start seeing the engagement come in, that's when your confidence is going to raise. But your confidence is not going to be 100% until you go do it. Maybe you're like, okay, I want to do this stuff, but I'm not really that much of a technical person, so I have a hard time doing this stuff and finding the features and doing this and doing that. You're not going to get it until you go through it. So you got to go through it to get it. Nobody starts this knowing everything. I just had a conversation with one of my clients earlier today, and we were just having this conversation is that, when everybody starts, you don't start knowing everything. That's the reason it's called a beginner. If it's not, you'll be called like a vet, a veteran, right? You'll be called experienced in this business. We all have experience in terms of what we teach, but you may not necessarily have experience on the different business strategies or practices that's going to take your business to the next level. So in that case, you got to learn. That's why you in this group. That's why you joining training videos. That's why you watching things. That's why you're getting feedback and you're getting mentoring and coaching and you're asking questions. That's why all of that happens, is so you can have a level of knowledge that you can apply in order to get the ball rolling, and then that additional knowledge you get is going to be based off of your experience. Or you'll come back and then you'll learn how to actually do it better, even from watching the same video. You know how many times I've watched the same exact trainings? One training that I've watched a lot. There's one leadership training that I've been watching, a lot. And there's one training I watched 17 times, and it's a 5-hour training, and I watched it 17 times so far. And by the way, that's 17 times in the last year. I've watched the same exact training. That's like you watching this training 17 times until you get it. I've done it over, but this is like a particular type of leadership training, and I've been watching it over and over and over and over and over and over. And I watch it so many times because I need to be able to execute on it in an amazing way. I need to be able to know. And by the way, I'm watching it over and over, but I'm doing it. Because every time I come back and I watch it after I do some action, it's like a new video. It's like a new training. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't see this before. Right? Some of the same things I've probably seen the last 16 times. I'm like, what? I did not recognize that. That's crazy. Right? But the reason why I'm noticing other things and other tips is coming out is because I'm actually practicing it every day. I'm trying it every day. I'm making the mistakes every day, but I'm learning every day and I'm getting better. So then when you look up 30 days, 60 days, 90 days later, a year later, 2 years later, I'm at a higher level and I'm at a higher skill set level than I am today because I've been willing to do the work consistently, not just learn about it over and over. And nobody learns more than me. I promise you. Unless you've enrolled in 57 courses, you're not learning more than me. I'm telling you, I've enrolled in since like 2015, at the time we're doing this training, right? This will be the 9th year. I've enrolled in 57 online programs. So when I know what I teach is the best, or when I'm saying what we have is better than what you can find out there, whether it's our free content or our paid content, trust me, I've enrolled in a lot of people's courses, programs, etc., for my own knowledge and for my own learning. But how I got confident in this stuff is not just through the knowledge and the learning, but it's through the practical application. So I've been willing to jump on calls with people to ask questions who are more knowledgeable than me. I've been willing to join the webinars or join the trainings in order to get the insights. And then I'm not questioning it. I'm like, you know what? Let me go out. Let me attempt it. Let me try it. Let me get some help on it. Let me see what I'm doing wrong. Let me see where I can improve.